Believe in what you make. 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 Believe in what they say. I know you hear it every day. That girl you with got some issues. That girl you with got some issues. Believe in what you make. 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 Believe in what they say. I know you hear it every day. That girl you with got some issues. That girl you with got some issues. Tissues on the corner of the couch. You became everything I warned you about. I don't believe a word out your mouth. You ain't gotta like the shit that I'm talking about. You say I'm crazy, then I'll be that. You hang up on me and I should call you back. No way, Jose, I'm through with that. Stay in my lane, I'm cool like that. You wanna lay with me, then play with me. You not saving me, you act like God, no make believe. I do recall you hated me. If I'm a I'll be that. The inner you, I now see that what we've been through, I can't get past to tell the truth.
WODU. The best gospel music on the web with the voice of inspiration.
When it comes against me, I got my shit. Don't get it twisted, the enemy's real. They don't wanna see us win. There's someone greater living within. That is fighting this battle for me. Can't worry about the enemy. Holy Ghost in me is giving me what I need, and that's power. Stand up if you got that Holy Ghost power. Stand up if you got that Holy Ghost power. Stand up if you got that Holy Ghost power. Stand up if you got that Holy Ghost power. Stand up if you got that Holy Ghost power. Stand up. Take a break from the race, make him the priority. Don't look at the weight.
You are the Lord. WODU, the heartbeat of
Thank you,
Old
New
Age.
York.
Welcome to the show.
Are you having a lovely time tonight?
I'm having a lovely time. It's Tuesday. Yes. Mellow V.
Yes.
Are you in the building?
Yes, we are. We're in his house, like they used to say back in the day.
Ain't no doubt about it. We in here.
We're in here. Amen.
Yes.
All by the grace of God.
Hey, that's what it's all about.
Only God knows.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He's anointed me to preach the good news through inspirational music. Welcome to the music ministry of the Voice of Inspiration, bringing you the best inspirational music on the World Wide Web. With my co-host, Miss Mellow V, and myself, and at 12 noon, we'll be rolling with the best of the 757 Community Talk Show. I know we're a little bit late, but that's technology for you. You always have to redo something when you come in. But nevertheless, we're going to do our best to entertain you and bring you the best inspirational music that we can. But let's get back into the music because I'm running behind, and we'll be back in a few minutes right here with the Voice of Inspiration.
Check it out. I brought some singers with me, right? They call the Artists of War. They're gonna sing, but before they do that, I'm gonna do this. Check it out. Watch me haters, watch me later. See, I'm 4 times 10 plus, so watch my gators. I'm God's twin, made in his image, my friend. You can Snapchat on me all day, my life matters to him. Let's go, Maya.
Can't believe the report of man, 'cause it's designed to take you off God's plan. Cancer tried to take mom away, but I prayed, I praised, and now she's free.
My life matters to you, Lord. My life, oh, it may not matter to you, but my life, oh, matters to you and only you, Lord.
Speak to him, Mike.
People dying in the street 'cause the color of their skin. So busy hating one another. Can't you see we're brothers and we don't matter to them? I know it sounds hopeless. Trust, I've got good news. Your life is precious in his eyes and he will help you get through.
Talk to him,
You may
Sharice.
think it's over, but it's not. Life can't seem to get you down. So much depression, and you're feeling suicidal. Know that he can turn your life around. You may seem alone, like you don't matter to some. Don't take your life, 'cause you're not done. The best is yet to come.
My life
My life,
matters to you, Lord. My life
my
may not matter to
life.
you, but my life.
My life matters to you and only you, Lord. No.
Your cherry.
Young people, put away the guns and please just walk away. Have a healthy conversation and hope to see another day. We have to live together. We have to love each other. Because in the end, we're all we've got. Can't let him
Pull you down now.
Can't let him
Control your mind now.
Can't let him hurt you, 'cause he buys you nice things. Can't let him beat you down now. Trust in the Lord and you love yourself even more.
My life
My life
matters to you, Lord. My life
Oh, yeah, my
may not matter to you, but my life.
My life, it matters to you, Lord, and only you. My life.
In his image and in his likeness, you and I were created masterfully, wonderfully, and fearfully. He made us. with plans for a future that included every man, every woman, every boy, and every girl. You see, with God, no one was ever excluded from his world. He said, love thy neighbor as we love ourselves. That means black man, white man, and everyone else.
WODU, the heartbeat of Old Dominion. And you're listening to the voice of inspiration with the best of inspirational music up until 12 o'clock. Mellow V, Mellow V.
Yes.
Who's our guest today? Who we going to have on the best of the 757 Community Talk Show?
She is a native of Virginia Beach, and she's a former Virginia Beach NAACP president, and she'll be in the studio to talk about the upcoming primary elections going on around the country and especially in Virginia Beach. So
Oh, right.
we look forward to hearing from her. She got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. It's, you know, getting our people informed. They let them know they got to get to the polls.
That's right. June 12th, Tuesday, June 12th. Primary election.
What?
Yes.
Be there.
Yeah, be
7
there.
o'clock.
Or be square.
All right. Take everybody you can.
Yes, amen.
All right.
Load up your car.
No doubt about it. But nevertheless, we're going to continue to do our best bringing you inspirational music up until 12 o'clock. So be on the lookout and let people know that we are here to bring you inspiration and to bring you information you need to inspire our future generation and to uplift them. But we are getting back into the music. It's I Give You Praise right here on WODU. It's the heartbeat of Old Dominion.
All I need, and where you lead me, I will follow, and with all my heart, I give you praise. Oh, for life, for health and strength, for giving peace in midst of sorrow. I will lift my voice and give you praise. Oh yes, I will. Oh, yeah. Your love that's sent from up above has changed my nights into 1,000 rainbows. And through your love, I've found more strength than I've ever known. You are my dwelling place, and where you lead me, I will follow. And through the calm and through the storm, I will give you praise. You are my dwelling Hallelujah! Father, we give you praise. Somebody raise your voice and give the Lord praise. Take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the King.
Truth is, I'm tired. Options are few. I'm trying to pray, but where are you? I'm all churched out, hurt and abused. I can't fake what's left to do. Truth is, I'm weak, no strength to fight, no tears to cry, even if I tried. But still my soul refuses to die. One touch will change my life. Take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn in pieces. It's my offering. Lay me at the throne.
just like you. If you cut me, I'm gon' bleed. I got wants just as well as I got needs. I've been hungry and not had no food to eat, and been knocked down as soon as I got on my feet. Lord, it was you that helped me understand, and it was you that never let go of my hand. I promise that I'll always give you praise, no matter what this world brings my way. I'll praise you anyway. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm gonna lift my hands, oh, right in the middle of it. I'm gonna do my dance, oh, right in the middle of it. I'm gonna shout for joy, right there, right there. Now clap your hands now. Oh. Is he doing all right? And do your dance now. Right in the middle of it. You ought to praise him anyway. Whatever your situation, put him in the middle of it. No matter what you're going through, the battle's not yours, it's the Lord's. Hey, if you're sick, you should praise. If you're hurt, if you're broke, if you're down, you should praise. Whatever you're going through, just praise him. He knows what you're going through. Praise, praise. Come on and clap your hands. Right there, right there. Come on and do your dance. Believe it or not, God in heaven's the praises of all his people. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Clap your hands now.
This has been another Music Maze production. I can't hear y'all clapping.
WODU, the heartbeat of Old Dominion. I'm talking about being in the middle of it. Being in the middle of inspiration. When God is speaking to your heart, in the middle of it, right here on the best of the 757. I'm talking about the inspirational gospel and the best of the 757 at 12 noon with my co-host, Miss Mello V. Mello V, can you elaborate who's our guest today? Is
All
going to
right,
be here?
she's here in the studio. All right. They called her Little Moses, and they also, she's a fireball. I just want to tell you that, folks, right now. But she's here in the studio. Her name is Georgia Allen, and she is a longtime resident of the city of Virginia Beach. And she's here to give us knowledge, as she was before. She was here before to talk about the primary elections going on around the country and specifically in the city of Virginia Beach. So we're looking forward to her being real with us today on the best of a 757.
Ain't no doubt about it. It's coming up at 12 o'clock on the best of the 757 community action talk show at live at 12 noon on Facebook and on WODU. So we'll be right back right after this important message.
The Adventures of Captain 85.
Oh, what do you want to do now? I don't know. Well, you can't stay here all day.
Excuse me, fellas, but aren't you supposed to be in school?
Yeah, but we're scared to go, Captain 85.
Why?
Because of all these school shootings. It's got all the students bugged.
I can understand your fears, but you can't let this stop you from getting an education.
But a lot of kids don't go. Some teachers don't even go.
Ah, but some did. And so did some students. So up on your feet, boys. I can't allow you to play hooky.
Yes, sir.
Living and learning go hand in hand. So let's go learn something.
The real adventures of Captain 85 with yours truly as we continue to combat bullying and violence, community action people mentoring program. We got some exciting things we're going to be doing this summer throughout the community. But nevertheless, we jumping right back into the music because he brings out the best in me. Talking about Marvin Saps right here on the Let's Give Praise Music Ministry on WODU, the heartbeat of Old Dominion.
Could only see the tell y'all one more time, one more time? I said he saw the best in me when everyone else around could only see the worst in me. I wish I had a witness tonight. All I need is one. Hey, he saw the best in me when everyone else around me, could only see the worst in me. Does anybody have that testimony? When folk walked you off, said you would never make it, what did he see? He saw the best in me. When everyone else around me asked, oh, when everyone else around could only see the worst in me. Can I tell y'all one more thing? I just need to tell you one more thing. Listen to this. See, he's mine, and I am his. It doesn't matter what I did. He only sees me for who I am. Does anybody know that tonight? Oh, see, he is mine, and I am his. Said it doesn't matter what I did. See, he only sees me for who I am. Help me sing it. The girl said that he is mine. He's mine. I'm his. Said it doesn't matter what I did. He only sees me for who I am. I had a witness tonight. Can I ask y'all one question? The question is simply this: what did he see? He saw the best. I can't get no help up in here because there's some folk in here that people have wrote you off, said you would never amount to anything, said that you would never end up being anywhere. But Myron, tell him one more time, what did he see? He saw the best. When mama said you would never be nothing, when aunties and uncles said that you would never amount to anything, when daddy didn't come home anymore, he didn't look at you and say that you weren't going to make it. God looked at you, and what did he see? What did he see? He saw the best. The best. What did he see? The best. I said, 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 what did he see? I said, what did he see?
WODU, the heartbeat of Old Dominion. You're listening to the very best of inspirational music from the studios of WODU, and you're now in tune with the best of the 757. I'm your host, the voice of inspiration, with my co-host, Miss Mello V. And Mello V, introduce our guest today, who's here to inform our audience about, public election.
All righty, yes. Again, I want Hal, Facebook Live family. We welcome you. We thank God for you. This is Gospel Tuesday, and we have a woman who is a formidable soldier on the battlefield for not only the Lord but also in politics. She's a powerhouse. She's a former Virginia Beach NAACP president, and much more. She's so tiny, but she packs a wallop in all areas of her life. And we want to welcome her today. She's here to talk about, amongst other things, the upcoming primary elections that are coming due, so you got to get out and vote June 12th. She's here to talk about that and much more. We welcome her, Georgia Allen. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Always good to be here with you.
Yes. And the voice of inspiration.
And the voice of inspiration.
What can I tell you? I'm always somewhere. Everything is good now. It's just that
we got it. We got to go.
With this technology.
We take a little bit of time to kind of get adjusted, but it's all good. It's all for the cause, right? But go ahead, Georgia. We want you to kind of fill the people in on why you're here today, and why you have a passion for politics and for much more.
Okay, thank you, Venus. Well, I'm here today because I want to talk about the election next Tuesday, June 12th. And remember that June 12th we have our primary elections. Now the primaries will be for the congressional seat as well as the senatorial seat. Keep in mind that is not your local elections, okay? Because a lot of people get that confused and they think they're out there to vote on their local elections. And I'm going to primarily focus on Virginia Beach because that's where we live.
Right.
And so some of the other local areas may have an election in May for local government. However, in Virginia Beach, we hold our local elections in November, always in November.
And somehow, some of them, some places have already had their primaries. So look it up. Go to the website for elections or your local voters registrar's offices, and they'll let you know if it already happened or if it's not. Get out there and vote and find out when it is.
Absolutely. In California, there's a big election today, okay? So today is a primary in California, and several other cities, several other states will be having their primary. Yeah. While in the state of Georgia, they had their primary last month.
That's right.
And so people say, well, why to vote? Why vote? Why vote? We hear that all the time. Well, let me tell you why we vote and why you must vote. It's because of elections like last month in Georgia, where there were two candidates, both with the same name, so it could have easily gotten confused.
That's right. That's
okay.
Exactly right.
However, Stacey Abrams, she went in every nook and cranny in the entire state of Georgia, and there were 159 districts, and of the 159 districts, Stacey Abrams won 153 of the 159.
Wow.
She also won 74% of the vote. So that's why you want to vote, because when people are running for office and you know who you want to be elected, you want to be out there to give them all the support that you can possibly give them. And what it does is it pushes back people who say, well, African American women can't win, or this group cannot win. Well, Stacey Abrams made it, without any shadow of a doubt that she can win the entire state of Georgia. So you want to vote, and that's why it's so very important to vote. And I know people like to go back to the election of 2016, and there were a lot of things that took place in that election. But at the end of the day, if you count the number of people that did not vote, that could have easily changed the election in another direction. So that's why you want to vote. Some people say, oh, well, everything is rigged. My vote will not matter. Right. Well, if you looked at one of the candidates in the state of Virginia. It was one vote. One vote. Okay, so your vote matters,
right.
and so keep that in
Absolutely.
mind. Your vote does matter. In some cases, people lost by 20-some votes or 14 votes.
Right.
Well, if your vote didn't matter,
You know, I often say you can win by 100 or lose by 1.
exactly,
So one vote can matter.
exactly.
If you don't cast it, guess what? It could be that one vote that your candidate or the person that you may have desired to win, or maybe don't even know that you. The point is get knowledgeable. Make sure that you get out there because, as you said, in 8 states today, it's primary day. California, New Mexico, Alabama, Mississippi, Iowa, South Dakota, Montana, and New Jersey have their primaries today. And in several states, and we're not partisan in our speaking today,
Right.
Because we want everybody to get out and vote. But just for example, Dems need to win 23 states in the nationwide race to gain the House control. So that means whatever party you're a part of, because we really want people to get out and exercise their right to vote, because it was fought for, people died for it.
Absolutely.
And we need to exercise that vote, and we need to make sure that we're making ourselves knowledgeable regardless.
Absolutely.
These races will shape the House representatives races, governorships, and U.S. Senate races.
And that's very, very important because whoever controls the governorship, when it is the year of the census, whoever controls it, they're also the ones that can draw the lines. So if you're concerned about where your children go to school, if you're concerned about where the money is being funneled, that money is being funneled based upon how they're drawing district lines. Okay, where your children go to school is based upon drawing of district lines. So whoever controls the governorship ultimately has the power to draw those lines. So it's so important. So for those of you who feel like you don't have any power, let me tell you, when you vote, you have power. Because guess what? You have the power to hire and you have the power to fire. So if you work a job and you've been fired before, or if you worked somewhere
you're the supervisor
and you
or the boss, you know what that is, right?
Exactly. Or you worked somewhere and you were praying that one of your coworkers got fired because you were working so much harder than the people next to you. Well, guess what? We're going to give you a little bit of power.
Yes, that's right.
Go to the polls on June the 12th and vote. That's power.
And this is primary. So, like you said, this is the primary season.
Yes.
And and tell the people if they don't know what that means, because a lot of times we know these terms, but people don't understand maybe what a primary does or what the purpose of a primary is.
Absolutely. Okay, in primary season, it's generally about party affiliation. So each party has as many candidates as they want, or as many candidates as, pass the process.
Cut the mustard.
Yeah. Pass the process. So the process generally is you have to get your signatures. You have to do your filing. Sometimes it's financial filing as well as signature filing. And so once you get all of that done, then that allows your name to be on the ballot. And so once it's on the ballot, if there are 3 Democratic candidates or 4 or 5 or 6 Republican candidates, those Republican candidates are vying for that one position against each other, and those Democrat candidates are vying for that one position against one another. So when you go to the polls, you will have to tell the election official, I want a Democrat ballot or I want a Republican ballot. You have to let them know. And when they give you that ballot, make sure you look at it, just in case somebody accidentally make a mistake and give you the ballot,
The
incorrect ballot. Exactly. So you still want to take a look at your ballot anyway when you go to the polls. You still want to make sure that you do have the right ballot. And so those are the type of things that you want to look for when it's election season. And again, I encourage you to go to the polls and vote. I kind of take a look at what's happening around the country, like Miss Levy was saying, Melvie was saying. And I was looking at some young people who have won elections recently. A young lady by the name of Asia Brown. out in Compton,
Oh, that's
California.
right, Asia
She
Brown. I
became
just
the
said-
mayor of Compton.
That's right.
And she had a very strong win. This young lady has gone on to sit down to reduce crime in her city.
That's right. And I remember reading
She was
about
willing to sit down with the Bloods and the Crips.
Sure did.
Okay.
And organize
And
events so they can come together.
Absolutely.
Yes, I remember that.
Because she believed in conflict mitigation. Well, young people look at things very differently than perhaps some people who are of the older generation. And so if you don't get out there and get involved in politics, then the chances are you may not see someone your age.
Right.
So we want to encourage our young people to take a look on the internet, because the internet gives a tremendous amount of information, and take a look at some of these young people who win office in their 20s, in their 30s.
It's an encouragement because you're seeing that you're being engaged and you can actually get it done. And going back to what the primary elections are for, you're deciding on who's going to end up on the ballot, whether it be Democrat or Republican, who's going to end up on that ballot in November. So you're making the decision now as to what candidate you want to see, whether it be a Republican candidate or a Democratic candidate, who, when all is said and done, who gets the opportunity to be on that ballot in November, because you got to vote in November as well.
Absolutely.
This is June, but there's
Absolutely.
a general election coming up in November. So this is your opportunity to weigh in on who do you want to see on your party's ballot for November for whatever position, whether it be the Senate candidate or the congressional candidate.
Absolutely.
And we have a number of other races that are coming up down the pike on the November ballot for elections. So it's a lot, but you know what? Take one step at a time. People.
Absolutely.
Take one step at a time, because I know we may look like we know what we're talking about. A little bit we may, but we had to get out there and kind of do the work and do the footwork. We're here so that you can have the opportunity to know what we know and what we don't know. We want comments, please. If any questions that you have, anything that you want answered, right now is the time to do that. We will. I'm the type of person, and so is Miss Allen and a Voice of Inspiration. What we don't know, we'll find out, and we'll get it back. We'll get that information back to you, because it's very important to us.
Absolutely.
That you get out to the polls.
It's real important to a reason why we try to do these shows to give you an understanding is you got to stop giving your power away to these people that just jump out there and want to run for office, and then when they get in there, they disappear. So we do this show so that you can do your research before you go to the polls next Tuesday, so that you can, if you're deciding to go to the polls, look up the candidate, see what they stand for, and then you make a decision on that. Do some research, because people will smile and grin, and as soon as they in, you are out.
Oh, that rhymes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Smile and grin.
Yeah, you know how we.
You know how we roll.
You know how we roll. We got to keep it real. We got to keep it real. We don't keep it real. You know, people like, oh, he's.
And that's important.
It's important.
And that's important.
Like old folks, it's important.
It's very important.
It's very important.
Yes. And Asia Brown, she won as mayor at 31 years old, and she wanted to reduce crime. She reduced crime in Compton, California, by 65%. Now, keep in mind, there were plenty of people who had been in politics for years and years and years and years. And all you would hear about Compton is, oh, the crime rate is high. But guess what? All this big media that's out here now, how often have you heard anybody tell you
that's right about this young lady?
This young lady, 31 years old, African American female, dropped the crime rate in Compton, California by 65% to and so we have young people who can do fantastic things, but we got to get out here and we got to give them the opportunity. I'm looking for people who want to run for office. Okay, I'm here today, and I'm going to talk to you about voting, but really, I want to find young people who want to run for office, because you do things very differently than our generation and the generation before that, and we want your voice at the table, because in city of Virginia Beach, we do not have representation. You're like, what? What? You don't have 2018, okay? You know, long past slavery, you know, long past segregation, Jim Crow, all of that. And in 2018, there is no representation on our city council in the city of Virginia Beach. There's no representation in our state legislature. Okay, there's no representation for our Congress or our senator. Okay, any representation that anybody in Virginia Beach has is because we have a delegate who represents the city of Norfolk but has a portion of Virginia Beach. And so that gave that little area of Virginia Beach representation. But in terms of representation in our very own city in 2018, there is no representation. So our young people, 18 years old, and now it's time for you to vote, you should be outraged. Because, see, you're living here, you're planning on probably going to college, come back, work here, and everything. And guess what? You pay into the tax system.
That's right.
You're paying into, so you got taxation without representation. So you should want to have representation, and you should want to do the things that maybe we didn't do very well that you guys can do better. So I'm pushing you and encouraging you to want to represent yourself, your children, and your family members.
And know that this young lady that we talked about in Compton who became mayor, she's within the same age group of those people pretty much who are out here. We know that Compton has a reputation of gangs and high levels of various gangs. She can speak to that. Absolutely. Because she grew up, and I remember listening to a document or a little piece on her, and she grew up in that community, so she knows environment. Yes. So she knows how to talk the talk, walk the walk, and that she can draw them in and talk with them because there's a trust factor. And so she gained their trust. She could not have done that without having the trust bestowed upon her to be able to pull that type of thing off. Absolutely. And for her to have gone in that community, lived in that community, and win the hearts and at least the attention, gain the attention of those gang people, she had to have known how to tap into that. Absolutely. So young people, you all can talk to the generation that's now around you and get them in. I say it takes the game player to talk the game to the game players. That was I tell myself. I said, you got to get out here and do it because we may take a different way and sway because we come from a different generation, but I applaud her because she was able to tap into that and wasn't afraid. Because a lot of people have fear
of young people. And this is crazy.
And this is where you grew up, and this is what you know. And,
Absolutely.
Going back.
Absolutely. Just go in there and start having that conversation. And really, a lot of it is about that. And, of course, she had a background in urban planning. Right. So she had a passion to do something about the urban community already. Right. So
to affect where she came from, to give back. A lot of times we forget where we come from. We don't want to deal with it anymore. Yes. But these are young, I believe young people we've seen around the world, around the country, especially with these school shootings, how they've mobilized and impacted people from around the world to engage in their endeavor to stop gun violence. Where as people of color, we need to learn how to harness that same power.
Absolutely.
To gain the attention of those who can make changes and stand by it.
So, it's like when we see things in the news and everything, the violence is constantly going on. Young people are constantly being in the news for negativity. Yes. The parents, their aunts and uncles should be sitting down talking to them. Excuse me. Should engage them to register to vote. Because the only power that they truly have is in the voting. The gun is not going to bring any situation other than a jail sentence or a cemetery. So when we encourage them to show them what kind of power they truly have, if they use that power and come together, they can make a big change in the community. The things that's going on that we said we can't change, we can't change because we don't vote. We have the power of young people. And when people are like 18 years old and parents that are listening, aunts and uncles that are listening, you have to engage them and say, get to the polls. You have to go register to vote.
talk to them about
you
it.
know, and talk to them about it,
Yeah,
and get them
absolutely.
engaged. And it's not that difficult. It's not that
No.
difficult.
And take them. You know, we take them to the
Yeah,
get
you
the
take 'em everywhere
sneakers.
else.
We take them to get the fancy. Take them when
Yeah.
you go into events. You know, that's the one thing with all of us having gone to various events for many years. I've seen, and I'm going to speak for me. I've seen folks that don't let us bring their kids and have them sitting there. And so we've seen them at events have their kids get up and speak at city council meetings or whatever. We need to prime our children the same way to be able to first, you know, sit back and learn, and then be able to and push them forward and engage them because they need to know how to communicate. A lot of times we think that they know how to do that because we hear them talking to their buddies or their friends or whatever. But do they know how to get up in front of a city council meeting and talk to a man or this one or address someone in Congress or someone? I used to take my grandson. I know you've taken your nieces and stuff. Your sons have been out there. My grandson, they used to call him the Obama baby because he was a baby when Obama was out there running and stuff. So whatever party, you know, we're not advocating one party or other at this point. Our personal views. But when we're talking to a vast array of people, we want to make sure that you get out and vote. Because and take your kids, and because other people are doing it with theirs, we need to make sure that we're taking our kids and having them being engaged in the process.
And that's key.
Yes.
Getting your children registered to vote, bringing them around other people, going to campaign events, and visit both political parties. Okay, visit both political parties' breakfasts and their committee meetings. And the reason why is you want your children to be well-rounded, so that when they hear something on TV that one particular person or another is saying, they can discern. Wait a minute, he's running a game on me, and they can discern that because they've been around environments enough that, and their antennas are up. And what you want to do is you want to teach your children so that they no longer just follow a path without really knowing a lot about it. And so that's going to be critical. I have another young man that I want to tell you a little bit about, Savante Myrick, who's from Ithaca, New York.
Oh, okay.
And since
she always does.
Miss Lovey is from New York, I was looking high and low to find him because I had found everybody, but I hadn't found him. And the last one I printed out this morning was Mr. Myrick. And the thing that is so powerful about Mr. Myrick is he won his seat on city council at age 20.
Wow.
Age 20. At age 24, he was elected mayor of Ithaca, New York.
Wow.
And if you've ever been to New York, there are certain cities you know a
little bit more about.
So for Myrick to get elected to Ithaca,
all right,
an African American to be elected to Ithaca, that's an achievement.
Yes.
Not only did he get elected, 4 years later, he got reelected.
Yes.
Okay?
Amen.
So this is a serious young brother, and I'm just so proud of him. I don't know what to do. Because, of course, in Ithaca, they had pretty much, got rid of all affordable housing.
Yes, they had.
So he decided.
And people were having to move to other places that and far less. And actually, it's so awesome that God will allow you to do that, because I just saw that. I'm like, look at this. That is amazing. Oh, wow.
See that?
Yes,
See, I knew I needed to bring this today.
You know that's because
I knew I needed to bring this today. When it comes to New York, see, I know I need to bring New York in the house.
Wow.
And he has worked and worked. People looked at him and kind of dismissed him when he said he was going to make sure there was an increase in affordable housing. He has built over 2,000 new units there, of which 400 units are affordable housing. So 16 are just fair market housing and everything.
And people were literally being run out of this city because, run out meaning they could not afford anything.
Or to live there.
They couldn't afford to live there, and whole families were being split up. But this is what we're talking about.
Yes.
With young people, if they're persistent and diligent, you can accomplish what you set out to do.
Absolutely.
Even in the most impossible, face of impossible odds, or it looks like it's impossible, only but God. This is Gospel Tuesday, so we're talking about the Lord. We always bring him into the mix. So we thank God that He's allowing us to see ourselves in these positions,
Yes.
regardless of where it is around the country. But it is so, like you do frequency, right? On Saturdays. That's for young people, right? The frequency distribution to change the narrative, to change the frequency of what young people can and cannot do. Don't say what you can't do, because this young man has done it. And in a place of impossibility. Trust me, I know it's in New York. And so, wow, that is amazing. That's amazing.
And I'm pretty sure they couldn't have did it unless their parents or some adults
Come on now.
engaged with them.
With
You know,
because you still
and
need wise
encourage
counsel.
Yeah, encourage them to do that. You know, because sometimes we are taught, like I tell people, sometimes we talk at kids and don't talk to them. It's a difference talking at them, and engaging them with conversation that we all can sit down and be in harmony with one another. And then they'll get encouraged to want to do it instead of them being disencouraged by you. Well, I don't see why you think you can do. Now that's not the way it works. You have to engage them, to want to
and bring them into the process. And just so you side note with Miss Allen, you all don't know, she was a youth. She's so passionate about the youth. The first time I met her, actually, I signed my son up for the youth council for NAACP of Virginia Beach, and that's when I met her. And she was just trying to bring the youth into this wealth of knowledge, because without that you perish.
Absolutely.
It says in the Bible,
Absolutely.
without knowledge my people perish.
Absolutely.
So that, if nothing else motivates you, if you're biblically persuasion, have a biblical persuasion, know that without knowledge we die.
Absolutely.
We die. And so she was very passionate about the youth and encouraging them. You
And
had
still am.
Awards.
Still am.
I remember the awards ceremonies you would have. And we got some people here I want to kind of give a shout out. Ira McLean, thank you. You said awesome. Awesome back at you. Tyrone Muhammad, peace and blessings. He says to Captain 85, peace and blessings back to you, my brother.
He's out of New Jersey.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, Jersey.
He's the mortician.
Oh, that's the one that. Oh,
awesome.
Talk about the dummy, and, having people to come in and engaging young people to see what it's like with this gun violence and everything going on.
Yes.
Okay, DJ Rob, thank you, my friend. Thank you for chiming in as well.
Awesome.
Michael Mazon, DJ Heart Attack from Formative 103 Jams. Thank you, my brother. His wife is so gorgeous, beautiful wife. She's always putting encouraging things on Facebook. I love her. Katia Brooks, I always hope I say your name right. She's always chiming in. Thank you for your support. Press that share button because we see familiar faces. Those of you who are continue to come into our space. Without you, we would not be able to do this. So press that share button. You know how I always tell you, share with the wealth with your family, friends, and colleagues.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And also, saying congratulations to the House of Delegates for passing.
The Medicaid expansion.
Yes, the Medicaid expansion. Absolutely.
Senator Louise Lucas.
Right. See when government works together.
Yes.
It took a long time, but we got it done.
But we got it.
But what happened last November?
Yeah.
We brought in a whole new group of people who worked on behalf of who?
The
people.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So when we, the people, vote and put people in office that will represent our interests, the outcome will become an outcome that we want versus one that we don't.
And
that's called voting.
Right.
And it's not against black or white. See, what they do is they keep pitting black people against white people. Like, oh, well, they black, they ain't going to do nothing. But you have to understand when a black candidate run, he don't owe nobody nothing. See, when we run, we don't owe nobody nothing.
Right.
So when we sit down to the table, you got a better chance of getting negotiations done.
Right.
Because we're not beholden to the big time money makers over here.
Right.
Because they didn't put us in office. The people put us in office.
Absolutely.
And then when you get the people that's working together, people start working together.
Yes.
It's for the people. It ain't for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to name some of these people. Mamie Locke, Senator Louise Lucas, Cheryl Turper, who was just elected to the 85th district. Miss Fowler.
Kelly Fowler. Yes.
was
voted,
just elected,
and supported.
and supported. So
Yes.
they supported, but I know that there were some soldiers on the battlefield.
Yes, they've
well
been
before
fighting.
you know, the late Yvonne Miller.
Yes, Senator
Yvonne
Miller.
That's right. She
who
was
loves
out
loved our young
yes,
people,
she did.
and
Yes,
she
did.
loved what was in the best
Yes.
interest of the community,
That's
and she
right.
fought for the community. She
did.
fought for health
She
care,
absolutely did.
and she, you know,
And
she fought for education. Oh my gosh!
And the right for felons
felons to be restored. I mean, she was a fighter, and we really miss her a lot. I miss her all the time.
Those were the pioneers.
Yes.
That
and Billy Robinson. Billy
Yeah,
Robinson.
Bill Robinson.
He would not be deterred. I mean,
Yeah.
he would fight and fight and fight.
He was my personal lawyer.
Yes.
Personal friend and stuff.
Absolutely.
I got to meet him, actually.
Yes. And
years
so,
ago.
you know, we're going to have to, you know, if we don't have them, we're going to have to make us some
Yeah,
more
we gotta get-
Senator Millers and some
Yeah.
more.
Come on now.
That's why you got to get young people
some
out
more-
there registered
right.
to vote, get them engaged.
Yes.
Because the young people
Yes.
are the future. Hey,
Yes.
like I keep telling people,
Yes.
when you get my age, 65, soon to be 66, you're living to die. You're not living to, I mean,
We're not speaking that.
well, I mean, that's what, I mean,
but
the
we're
bottom
on
line
that
is,
other side,
you know,
right.
what I'm saying is when you have to get people motivated to get things done. I mean, I keep it real. You're living to die. I don't care what age you is. Every time you wake up in the morning, God, that's a blessing.
That's a blessing.
That's a
Unless
blessing.
God wake you up, you're dead.
Yes.
People don't understand. They say the alarm clock woke you up.
Yes.
But God sent angels to wake you up.
Every day.
So if He don't send that angel to wake you up, you are dead. You ain't gonna get up.
You ain't getting up.
So when you out there on that battlefield, you got to encourage young people to get out there and get active because someday I ain't gonna be here to do this.
Right.
Somebody ain't gonna be here to do
And
this.
my
So
grandmother
we
said,
gotta
well,
put it
my
in place.
old gray hair get cold, you're going to
Right.
miss me. But I'm preparing you
Right,
so that
prepare.
when you go,
Uh-huh.
when you live beyond my years,
Right.
Yes.
that you got the knowledge that
Right.
that it's almost the pass the torch.
Yes.
Yeah, pass
Yes.
the torch.
See, when I say that, I know I'll be here till I'm 120.
Yeah, there you go.
So I already know I'm gonna be here till
That's good.
120.
Yeah, come on.
But the
I
point
got some years
is,
to make up for.
you gotta
Right.
get those young people engaged now.
Motivated.
You know,
Motivated.
motivated to get to the
Exactly.
polls.
Absolutely.
Whatever it takes. If it takes us saying is I'm getting old and I'm living to die, then maybe they'll say, hey, well, I better get on the
But get on the-
bandwagon.
yeah, but-
Right.
Why? Because if I get on now, those people can support me and guide me.
That's right. Right. And impart the knowledge that
right.
so it won't die with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's what I mean. That's what.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Because when
If
you're dead,
we
that
continue-
knowledge is gone.
It's gone,
Yeah.
and it can't. And they said how many unfulfilled potential is
Yes.
in that grave.
Yeah.
You know, when
That
you look
dash.
At, that dash.
That dash.
There's so many people. You go to the graveyard and you see all those people there.
Yes.
Yeah,
How
all
much?
that knowledge.
All that knowledge. All that untapped potential.
Right.
All
Yes.
is no longer available. Stephen, we want to thank you for chiming in with thumbs up back to you. Audrey Rattler, also back to you. Smiley face. We get new emojis, they said on our phones. Look for those new emojis, so thank you for that smiley face emoji.
Because we gotta continue to engage our community.
Absolutely.
Continue to get people.
Absolutely.
You know, we look to the church to try to do everything.
Yes.
But we also got to come out of the church ourselves and bring the church out to the community.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's talking to the young people.
Absolutely.
That's to get them to say, hey, look, I took my son, first time voter, to the polls last year. My second son that came home, which he was out because he suffers as a contractor. You know, he got high clearance. He works with the government. He got high clearance. So when he's back here working on projects. This is his first time voting. So I had two first time voters last election. So when you see that young people are engaging at 18 and he's 30, first time to be here to vote in Virginia, that shows you right there. All you got to do is get them engaged.
Absolutely.
And that's
And
what
make
I'm
it
saying.
exciting because make it as a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Make it exciting that this is after you vote. This is what we discuss. We take you out. Make it something that they will want to do make it memorable, so that or mark a milestone or a remembrance of this is what you need to do. I'm so pleased with you. This is what and make it so.
Why
that
not
kids-
have a party?
Yeah.
Why not have a
party.
community party
Right,
for all of our first time voters?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, that can
Why
happen.
not do that?
Ain't
Why
nothing
not do
something
that?
to do.
Potato chips.
Okay, there's first time voters
Right.
coming out of every church. There's
Right.
first-time voters coming out of every neighborhood. You know, so all
Because
over the place.
Yeah, I can put that together because all they got to do is go over to Williams Farm and rent the room.
Yeah.
And just put the flyers out first time.
And invite folks in, and we have a big old party up. First-time voters do photos, send them out throughout the nation. Hello, let's send them out throughout the nation. And guess what? Now we done changed the landscape.
Right.
Absolutely.
And just all they have to do is bring their register card.
Come in with their sticker, say I voted.
Exactly.
Yep,
And
they gotta come in.
a first-time registration.
And it could be from any age, because I know having worked for the elections and still do.
Right.
There are people that have come to me, older folks. You have
Older
worked
folks
that
that voted for the
"This is
first time."
I voted. They'd be 60, 70, 80 years old. And said that. So it could be from any age group. So it's not like, you know, we're just confining it to just young people.
Absolutely. There were a ton of first-time voters when President Obama ran.
When Obama ran and I was running Luxury Brown, I was general manager, and I had people to register and sign petitions and stuff to get people on the thing. And one young lady said, "My mom ain't never registered, never voted. She's 60-some years old."
Yes.
And then when she came back, she said, "You know what? My mom's going.
She's going to
register to vote, and she's going to vote."
She's going to vote.
And
people, regardless of what age group, take them.
Yes.
Make it a little alley.
So
you do that, I know, with your family.
And just like today, people say, "Why vote?" Years ago, a lot of people said the same thing. Just like you said, there was a lady 60-some years old and hadn't voted. But there was something that was going on in the community, around the area, something that was going on that caused her to say, I'm not voting.
Right.
You know, so we need to be able to help people to understand as the why to voting.
And make it exciting.
Like you said, a rite of passage.
A
rite of passage.
Hey.
Have a party.
You know how they used to ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Yes,
just a lot of different things that we can do.
We have Juneteenth.
Right, which start getting people engaged. And although those of you who are not currently registered, you will not be able to vote in the primary.
Yes.
We're encouraging us to have a registration party every single day from now until it's time to vote in November. You may not be able to vote in the primary, but if you register now, you will be able to vote in November. Okay?
So make that clear to folks.
I know they do it next Tuesday.
Yes.
But what do you propose, or what do they have to do to get registered for November? This is the purpose of this.
Right.
You know,
Okay. In order to get registered to vote, you can go down to the local registrar's office. I don't strongly encourage you to go to DMV because DMV has to transfer the information to the voter registrar's office, okay? You can have them send you a registration in the mail, fill it out, and send it back to them. But I personally, I prefer to vote to register in person.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And there's a number of ways. Sometimes there are groups that have voter registration time, such as your Deltas, such as your NAACP, your Urban League, different groups and organizations. Sometimes, you know, you can set up a voter registration place at a local club or place, and you can say, okay, on this particular day, we're going to have voter registration. We're going to host it. You know, we call it a hosting. Okay, we're hosting a voter registration, and we're going to host it between, let's say, you could do it between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. or something along those lines. But again, we need to make voting exciting.
Yeah, again.
You know, rites of passage.
You say make we're going to make voting exciting again.
Yes, let's make it exciting again.
Bring it back to the forefront where our ancestors have fought and died and bled and was dragged through the streets. For this opportunity, make it now. We need to change the narrative. Make it exciting. We went through the era of had to fight for it and to be knocked down and hosed down and all that. Now we're going to change the narrative. We're going to bring it back. We're going to make a party of it. We're going to make it so that it's exciting to vote. We're going to give you the information, or if you desire information about it.
Maybe that's what we need, a T-shirt. Let's make voting great again.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. That's exactly what I was
let's make it
great
again.
Make voting great again.
Yes.
Making voting exciting again.
Yeah, because that's the purpose of when you vote, and people come together for the right causes.
For the right causes.
I just don't understand one thing. I always ask people, why is it that you are on a planet that spins around, nothing holding it up, and you around here arguing with each other like you gonna lead this planet. It doesn't make sense.
No.
I mean, you think man holding the planet up, or the sun over here, or the moon over here, the stars over there, and you can't get along right here? How you think you'll get in heaven?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't get in heaven if you can't get along here.
Absolutely. And we should be getting along. I mean, but also we shouldn't be hoodwinked when someone is intentionally trying to divide us, okay? Okay? Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I know sometimes I'm out and about and I watch how I'm being treated.
Right.
And it's really interesting. I'll be out and about and I'll have just as many people say hello to me of different races as I do people of my own race. Okay, I have somebody hold the door for me of a different race. And so there are just different things that's taking place.
Yeah, I know.
Different things that are happening out here where we have somebody intentionally calling people names and things like that. And so what we have to do is be smarter, as the old folks used to say, be smarter than the average bear. And we do. We have to be smarter than the average bear, because basically what's happening here is someone who's trying to continue to divide, because if you look at what's been happening, they're ultimately looking at, I want to control everything.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. You're right. You're absolutely right. But we must be wise, and we must be diligent, because like you said, there's so many people out here that are willing, we're giving our power too freely to. That, you 1 minute you in your face smiling and shaking your hand and you don't see them again. You have access is what we're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
With our community, and we love all communities.
Yes.
But with our communities, we see, like, I know what's going on in my house, or I know what's going on, you know what's going on. We know what's needed, but we need access. And so a lot of times when we give our power thinking we're going to get that access, and then the door's closed until the next time they need something. You don't want people coming to your door and your neighbors always want sugar. Only time you see them is they don't speak to you, they don't say nothing.
Can you drive me to the 7-Eleven?
Exactly right. You must have experience.
Can you give me a ride?
Can you let me?
Can you let me sit right? And it's okay, because we're called to make sure we help one another.
Yes.
But it shouldn't be an abuse.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about, the abuse of when someone's kind, or abuse of power, or whatever it is. It's not about abuse. But I want to say a shout out to some people that's also trying. Sarita, thank you, Scott, Miss Scott, my songbird from Virginia Beach. Thank you for chiming in. We're going to get in contact with you. Linwood Williams, thank you for chiming in as well. Stephen.
He's from Georgia.
Yeah, from Georgia. Actually, he came on the show. Yeah, he had a play he just produced, and it was phenomenal. Stephen, thank you for the thumbs up back at you as well. But we got on a roll there. The Voice of Inspiration said, we want to make voting exciting again.
It's fun again.
Great again.
Yes.
Because what happens is the young people, they don't know the narrative of what the forefathers were. So let's bring it into their realm.
Right.
Let's say, you know what, we're gonna come back into your era, and we're gonna take it over, because we're gonna say, you know what, we're going to not keep talking about what was, because we feel that we understand
we will
that
educate you about what was, but we're not gonna make that
shape
the whole
it around something different.
We want to shape it
differently, right? Package it differently, because I think we get caught, and there's nothing wrong with that. We get caught up, and what grandmama and them, they fought for that, and they be like, what? We not fighting today. We're not doing that today.
Yes.
We're not.
We lit.
We lit. We got that. So now we're going to make it lit to vote, right?
We're gonna light it up.
We're going to light it up. We're going to make it. We're going to make it fashionable, or whatever it is, cool again, or whatever it is, to vote, because, and not only for the generation of young people, but also the people that have been discouraged or
denied the right to vote.
Right.
And now we're helping them get the vote back. Right. And to all of my friends and neighbors who may have lost their voting rights, let me share something with you, okay? Let me share this with you. You may have personally lost your voting rights. But all your
Family
cousins,
members.
all your aunties, all your uncles who have the right to vote, you tell every last one of them.
Right.
They don't get to sit at home because they got to vote on behalf of you.
Hello.
Okay? And if you keep pushing that message, you say, you know what, this year I want 100% family participation in voting.
Yeah.
Because if everybody who have been denied their right to vote get 100% family participation in voting, guess what?
Right. And now
that
ups
number
your
just goes,
ante.
yes,
It ups
that
your
number
ante.
goes up. And you
And
got all
remember,
these
there are
people
people
supporting you.
who can work toward getting your rights back. There are processes and groups and information out there.
Yes.
Restoration of rights events and organizations that are fighting for that. And in fact, the previous governor has signed various legislation. So even check on that, because you may think you don't have the right to vote in this state, because I know other states we know. You know, that's not the case. So we talking around the country.
Some states it's automatic. Once you paid your dues, paid your time,
you get your license, you get
everything back. In the state of Virginia,
it's
of course,
it's a different story.
There's a process.
Right.
So you want to go through the process and get the appropriate help from the different
because
organizations.
we know that this show goes across the country.
Yes.
You know, we have people from Atlanta, I mean, from Georgia, from New Jersey, from New York, different places, you know, around the country. So they may be different in your state or city or wherever you are. But know that there are processes here that you can check on. And if you send us a message or about a family member or something like that, we will make sure we try to get the information to you. I just got sent a message about something election-wise, and I looked it up, did my due diligence, and sent it back to the person, and they were very happy about that.
Right.
So we will try to do that. If you do put that information out there, you know, for us to do that, I don't have a problem with doing that. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
send the
sometimes,
information and we can
and
help
I
you
just
where
did
we
that with
can.
someone, and they were happy for that. So, you know, we're here for the community, and I know the Voice of Inspiration is always talking about that. He has an organization that that speaks to that. He wants to stop bullying. We got to get people in there that have a passion and a heart to make sure that people and our children in our communities are safe. You know, we had kids in our communities getting shot on the way to school.
Absolutely.
And not, you know, not necessarily in school, but on the way to school.
Right.
In their neighborhoods, in their homes. But, you know, we all need to come together now around this situation. And without people that have our interests at heart, we won't get that stuff done.
Well, because this summer we're going to be out and about in different locations in the community.
We did it last year. We went to a number of things.
You know, going to do some things, activities that are going to get young people involved. What's the most important thing is that young people have to be able to see what you're doing.
Right.
Young people, I'm used to working with young people when I used to do team dances and stuff, and they'll talk to you. You know, they very polite, Mr. Vaughn this, Mr. Vaughn that. They'll be like, please don't let this close down because we ain't got nowhere to go.
Right.
They don't have anywhere to
If
go.
you create an atmosphere for them, they will come. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Right?
And you always gonna have a few knuckleheads. That's anywhere you go. But you don't let two people. Because I always tell people like this, even when I'm training my staff or security. I says it's only two people fighting whenever there's a fight. It's only two.
Yes.
You always separate the two and talk to them. You know, and you can tell by the attitude. And even when they come and I have them come in the club, I would have my security or people at the door. Good evening. How you doing?
Right. Absolutely.
How you doing? Because if they don't speak back, don't take their money. Don't let them in the club because they got that's negativity. They already got attitude. We gonna have a problem with him all night long. And the ones that we normally have a problem with is the people with the attitude that wouldn't want to speak. We already know we got to watch you.
Absolutely.
You know? And then sometimes I said, no, come back, make it another night, partner. Tell you what, make it another night and you can come in as my guest.
Absolutely.
And it's on me.
Yes.
You know?
So you're giving them a little
I'm going to give you a senator, but I don't need that drama. Because this is a place of fun. This is a place of positiveness. You want to meet people and engage in conversation. You don't go out to be arguing with people. That I don't understand that. So when you're trying to educate young people, it's the same thing. You know, and when I used to talk to them when I was doing teen dances, And here's a guy 6'2" to a guy 5'3" arguing, and the tall guy said, "I ain't no punk. I ain't no punk. I ain't no chump." I'm like, "What? He ain't gonna chump me down." I'm like, "Dog, you're 6'2". What are you talking about?
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
It's a mindset.
Right.
It's a mindset.
And it's just trying to engage with them to get them to understand is if you get to know a person,
Absolutely.
it's a whole different outcome. Because you're both in the same boat.
Absolutely. And like you change the frequency.
Right,
We
change
need to
it.
change the narrative of what's going in and what's coming out. And in order for that, and create an environment
and I know our rappers and stuff always saying it's a sign of endowment or doorman or whatever. Endearment, calling you using the N-word. How's that a sign of that's that Willie Lynch syndrome?
Yes.
It meaning keep using that word, because and your kids will keep growing up year after year,
thinking
that and that word will never die.
It won't never die.
Instead of leaving money, you're leaving that legacy.
Right.
You know, you're leaving the legacy of that word. I'd rather you leave your children something greater, whether it be finance or whatever. But there's some things you need to just leave there.
Right. If you call an average black man, you can call him, "Hey, yo, that's my dog, that's my N-word." They smile and grin. I can call a black guy, and I almost got in a fight with a guy at Verizon one time. I said, "Yo, son."
He said, "I'm
not your son. What? Don't you call me your son?" I said, "But you are somebody's son. I don't know your name. That's my name right there, but don't call me." I said, "Okay, son." I said, "You don't understand what son is."
That's endearment.
That's an endearment.
Right.
Because Jesus was the Son of God. When you look up in the sky, you see the sun. That's the sun. So when you're sitting there getting mad because I call you son, and you ready to tear my head off, but if I call you the N-word, you're grinning.
But see, you know what somebody has done?
That's programming.
Twisted.
Right, yeah.
It's
That's
perverted.
programming.
And that's what the enemy does. He knows how to pervert.
Yes.
And when you can listen to somebody tell you that they can do something in the middle of a Times Square,
right,
and don't get, that's telling you they're perverting.
Right.
They're trying to change the narrative of something that is incorrect to what.
Right.
You're making the incorrect correct and the correct incorrect.
And the scripture says
that's
you will make the lie the truth and the truth the lie.
Right.
And so we are watching that play out right now because people have heard lies every single day. And they're programming themselves to believe that lies are somehow truth.
And truth is
now
no longer.
Yeah, I used to love watching the news. Now I'm like, I don't even care to watch it no more. It's the same narrative every day.
Yeah, and,
you got
it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. You can go from channel to channel, and they continue to talk the same information. Instead of going out into the country and finding other things that are taking place, and then use that as a blip. But you don't concentrate on it. You don't focus on it. You keep moving.
If you don't capture that thing, it says capture it. Every thought, bring it into captivity. If you don't capture it and turn it around for the good, and stop speaking that, because that's what people want. Absolutely. Like you said, you call him son, but you call him another name. He'd been happy with it. Because what happens is they've getting conditioned.
Yes.
Remember the
because
word
the
condition.
same thing is being said
It's like
over and
Pavlov's
over
dog.
and over again.
Remember the Pavlovs? You know, you keep you can train the mind, and the spirit will unfortunately die and follow along. If it's death, if it's speaking negative, you know. So understand that we're talking about voting rights. And it's not something from long ago, 1965 or whatever. This is still current today. You know, think of it as, you know, the word of the day. You know, the cool thing of the day, or whatever the new fad of the day is. Make that it. You know, the new emoji, the new whatever. We're gonna make this
voting.
You know what? We need to create
a voting emoji.
A voting emoji that when you push that button and you send out the emoji, you're warning them to go out and vote, or to push the emoji and it says I vote. Something we need to capture this back. We need to take back what the enemy has taken, was stolen, because we have been deceived
Yeah, we have
We
definitely
have,
been
and they said
deceived.
the elect are going to be deceived in the last
Exactly.
days.
Yeah.
So
Even
we want to
the elect.
continue to remind
Yes,
you,
keep
June
remi-
12th
Right,
Yeah.
June
is
12th.
election day. It's the primary election
Get
day.
it in.
And
That's
we
right.
need everybody at the polls. We need to make sure that you go down there and vote. I have one other young man that I want to share with you.
Okay.
Many of you may know Michael
Okay.
Tubbs. He is the mayor of Stockton, California.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And,
California.
Yeah.
he got on city council at the age of
Oh, I see, I'm
22
gonna say.
years old
Oh, okay.
with 61.7% of the vote.
Oh,
So our
okay.
young people are working out
And
here.
he's
Right,
doing
right.
tremendous things.
And-
I saw him on
exactly.
CBS this morning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And then
month
at the
before.
age of 26,
Uh-huh.
he became mayor
Oh,
of
okay.
Stockton,
Yes, he did.
California, which is a pretty good size city.
Yeah, city,
And he's
yeah.
turning
Okay.
around a lot of things.
And he is
Economic-
changing a lot of things.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Economically well. And they
Yes.
asked him, he said, how did you?
Mhm.
And he said, I just followed. Actually, he said some of his parents, what his parents taught him.
Right.
So it was very important.
Yeah.
And he said he just saw, he knew what was needed.
Yes.
And you know what I said? It's so simple.
Yeah.
He said, I knew what was needed.
Yeah.
And I got in there and I found the right people to
Right.
make it happen.
Yes.
He built a committee
Right.
and he just went after each thing. And
Yes, and that's what he's been doing. He's been
Yeah.
tick,
and they've
tick,
been
tick, tick,
asking
tick.
him, well, you need to put this
Reducing
together.
drugs in
Yes.
his city.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
all of these
He
things
certainly
that
did.
were
Yes.
issues
Yes.
that
He
have been
certainly
going
did.
on
Right.
for decades.
Decades.
The young people are like, and what I'm enjoying so much about these young people, like, Savante Myrick and Asia Brown and Michael Tubbs and now Stacey Abrams. And Stacey is only 44 years
I
old
didn't know
and can
that she was
become
so old.
governor
Wow.
with the opportunity to become governor of a state the size of Georgia.
Right.
Wow.
Okay? And so our young people are looking at things very differently.
Differently.
Yeah.
Right.
And this young man, he's given, he wants people to have a living income.
Yes,
so
a living
he's,
wage.
He's given a group of families. I can't remember how many it is. I think it's like either 100. I think it's something
And
like
they asked
two.
him, "Do you think that
Yes.
he
And
gave
they
us some
wanna
money
know-
back?" Right.
He wanted to, they want to know if they're going to waste it. What you're going to do? And
I
he said,
remember
"Well, my goal is that they won't waste it."
Right.
But he said, "I'm not telling them exactly what to do with the money."
Right.
But he's using this as a trial. And guess what? It doesn't cost the city of Stockton a dime.
Right.
What he did is he went out and he found benefactors
Yes,
Right.
to donate the money.
Right.
Okay. And so now these families, he's watching them to see what they're going to do with this money and see
Right.
what impact it's going to have.
And he said he knows and he believes that it's going to go back right into the
Into the
economy.
economy.
Because
Right.
either whatever it do is going back into the economy.
Right.
So it's almost a win-win.
Win-win.
But he's tracking
Yes.
how they spend it.
Yeah. Are they
and
going to save part of it to
right,
send their kids
exactly.
to college?
Right,
So he's
right.
looking at all
It's
these
like a
things.
test group. And
Yeah,
it's smart.
It's very,
Right.
very
It's-
smart.
It's very smart.
And
And we need to also, when we see our children doing something, a lot of times it's underplayed, it's
Right.
not highlighted,
Right.
it's not, it's
or
marginalized.
they look down
Right.
on
Yeah.
and,
The,
and
the
things of that
word is
nature.
marginalized
Yeah.
because it's like, oh well,
Yes.
But when it's other cultures, it seems like it's up.
Yes,
we need
yes.
to play it up and say
Right.
he's really doing something that is a test group, and and that's brilliant.
Well, the clock on the
Clock
wall
on.
saying that's all the time we got, y'all.
Okay.
Any closing words? Ms.
I just want to
Allen?
remind everybody to go to the polls and vote. And second thing is I want to remind our churches, you have a platform every single Sunday.
Right.
Spend 2 minutes and focus it on Black history. And we don't always have to use the same people all the time.
Right.
Use some young people like a Stacey Abrams, Michael
Right.
Tubbs, Savante Myrick, or
Right.
Asia Brown, and
Right.
let our young people know who these people are.
Post it in the
Because that's
bulletin.
going to that's going to make a change in the lives of our young people and get them thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
Because we got our kids thinking, well, I'll just go and I'll just do this.
Right.
Let's let them think broader and bigger.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's presented to all other cultures, and it seems the spelling bee, all these different things. So, but until next time, Mellow V, blessings.
Well, that's all the time we got, y'all. I appreciate y'all chiming in, tuning in, watching on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, and all the other social medias that we broadcast on. Remember, I'll be back on Thursday with another exciting guest. The D-Boys will be here talking about their new single.
No Love.
Yes, they'll be here with me and Mello V. Until then, remember, love yourself, put God first, and everything else will fall in place. It doesn't matter what others think about you. It's only what you think about you. Until the next time, this is the Voice of Inspiration. Until then, this is WODU, the heartbeat of Old Dominion.